So here are the charts for, on the right, the Orange Menace, on the left, Aileen Cannon. Just today, I don't know the time, she is the judge that has provided a bit of an assist to Trump's cause by ruling that there should be a special master assigned to review the records, and that the FBI and the Department of Justice cannot continue their investigation until that happens. The question is, where does this fit into the astrology? First of all, as I've said numerous times, Trump's chart is downtrending badly, and if things are difficult now, they're only going to get difficult later. So delaying is not necessarily a good idea. If you see their connection via astrology, you can see why she might be sympathetic to him, because this moon of hers in the middle of Leo, although it's between 7 and 21 or so, depending on the time of day, in Trump's chart works quite well. And if you take her sun degree, place it at the end of Scorpio, it trines his Saturn-Venus 12th house conjunction, which again adds a degree of sympathy, even to the fact that he may be law-breaking, because that's what this Saturn and Venus, as I interpret his chart, are notorious for. But then from there, things get more dicey, because if you take this conjunction here of Saturn to Jupiter, and you put Jupiter in the late degrees and Pluto in between, it's quite good in making a trine to the Sun and a sextile to the Moon. That would be sympathetic. But then from there, it also squares that same Saturn-Venus conjunction in the 12th. This is the kind of thing that can lead a person to either turn against you, betray you, stop supporting you, or sometimes try to help you but inadvertently actually hurt you in the longer term, or even in the shorter term, either or. And when we look at her Neptune, you put it next to Trump's moon, that's actually quite good, but it's not nearly as good opposing his sun. Another potential problem. Her Venus over here in Capricorn links to his infamous Access Hollywood T-square formed by Eris, Neptune, and Mercury. And especially the fact that Venus fairly closely opposes the Mercury is of concern. And if we look further, we would then say that from the transits as they're happening, you can see some issues, such as in the case of Aileen Cannon, Saturn transiting through Aquarius is squaring her Sun and her Mercury, and will continue to do so until next February or so. And Uranus is essentially doing the same thing in terms of challenge, because it's down in Taurus, at minimum challenging the Mercury to some extent, but certainly the midpoint of the two, Sun and Mercury. So that's putting pressure on her Scorpio energy. Meanwhile, Pluto in Capricorn over here squares itself and squares Jupiter, and will continue to do that, at least to Jupiter, right through next year. And then Neptune in Pisces squaring itself, and doing so certainly during the period now that we're in, but also through next year as well. So bottom line, even though this may seem like an important setback, I see it simply as a delay. And in terms of the effect on Trump's chart, I would say be careful what you wish for, because delaying in this case isn't necessarily good. For one thing, really unlikely that anything would have happened between now and the election in any case, in terms of an indictment or a charge. That's likely to come late in the year or early next year. And the fact is, when you're looking at cycles as we move into 2023, the most important is probably Saturn switching into Pisces, which in his chart over here goes from opposing his Mars and entering a sign where it's going to be challenging his Sun, Uranus, Moon from the 8th sign, which is just about the worst place to put it in terms of the kind of karmic burden he's accumulating through the crimes that he's committing. So this is where I think the laying here could be, in a sense, choosing the fire over the frying pan. And I very much doubt that what Aileen Cannon is trying to do in terms of helping him is going to turn out to be helpful in the long term.